there, my name's Jill Tiny, I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me, we all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Being Human, Hidden Depths, and my name is Jill Tiny, and I'm delighted to say that today I'm joined by Collaboration Global member Terry Pearce. Welcome, Terry. Lovely to have you with us today.
Lovely to see you too, Jill.
Thank you. We're very indulgent today, aren't we? Because we've got the beautiful sunshine outside, and I know you're a bit of a gardening freak. Have you been sort of out there today? Have you been looking after your chickens, making sure they're all okay?
I have. We had three lovely eggs. My three hens, different coloured eggs.
Oh.
So we have blue eggs, dark brown eggs, and cream eggs.
Blue.
And it makes the most beautiful basket when you put them together.
I'll bet. And do they taste different, the different colours? Can you tell which one is which?
Not from taste, but in terms of size, Robin is the one who lays the blue eggs. She has a tendency to lay double yolkers.
Oh, wow.
That's nice at breakfast.
Yeah.
That's an absolute treat. Cracking yolk egg.
Isn't nature wonderful? The different colours. It's a chicken, but at the same time, it can create something that's a bit of a miracle that the others couldn't. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. So in the beginning, you've been a member of our community for quite some time. So just give our listeners a little idea of what brought you to Collaboration Global in the first place. Obviously, pre-Collaboration Global, it was known as B Collaboration, but also what made you stay? Why are you still here, Terry? What's going on?
My first action to the organisation would have been probably the spring of 2016, I think.
Gosh, that long.
Long ago. I was invited by Andrew Horder to come along and see what you did. Very interesting conversations. And at that point, perfectly honestly, it was not for me.
No, it's timing is everything, I think, isn't it?
Timing is absolutely everything. That's that particular point, and I think I can date it fairly well to about this time of year, April, May. Because at that point, getting that afternoon off wasn't simple. I had an absolutely thriving bookkeeping business. I had a little paint. And great guns doing the classic sole trader thing of working 60+ hour weeks.
Ouch. Yeah.
Slogging my guts out, thinking, this is the way to success. This is the way to build a practice. Everything swimmingly. Every target I've given myself, I have smashed.
Wow.
My 5-year plan I accomplished in 1 year flat.
Wow. Not many people can say that.
This is the 5-year plan, this office.
That's in your garden, yeah?
That's in my garden. And this was my 5-year plan. Put together enough savings, spend $7,000 on building a garden office.
Lovely.
And I did it in 1 year.
Nailed it. Fantastic.
Admittedly, it was the year from hell, but just the point.
Well, the thing is, it's that kind of work on your business isn't really sustainable, is it? I mean, you can do it for so long, and when anyone starts a business, I always say to them, like, the first 3 years, you're going to be working. Don't think about work-life balance. It doesn't exist, really.
No,
you've got to crack on, and you've got to get doing it.
Just when you
do what needs to be done.
People who come to you saying, I can't do this, I haven't got the time to do this. If you are not the sort of person who says, been there, done that, this is how you get through this part.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so been there, done that. And I learned the hard way that you can't keep it up for very long.
No.
Spasm, rapidly followed by a triple heart bypass.
Oh,
That was fun.
wow. And how old were you at that point?
49.
49 to have a triple heart bypass. Now, we hear it quite often of the chaps, don't we? And you can probably go into a pub and look around and go, well, he looks like he might be a heart attack material. When you see maybe somebody popping out to have a cigarette and they've had 10 pints and they've got the obligatory beer belly. But most women, what signs? Did you look back and go, oh, there were the signs, but I ignored them? Did you see any of it coming?
I didn't see a single thing of it coming.
Oh, wow.
I was, at that point, I was pretty fit. I was up and down all day. I started work around about 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. I kept going until about 8 or 9 at night. I worked weekends.
You had 2 children.
I sometimes took the day off for children, but the rest of you, get on with it, guys. You know what I'm doing here. Get on with it. And they took it. They took it like truth. And the only sign I had that something was about 4 o'clock Friday afternoon when I was at work. I was on site with a client and I had a heart spasm. Now, a heart spasm is a heart attack that happens outside the pericardic sac. This is how it's been explained to me. I don't know how accurate this is. If there's doctors watching this, scream at me, I'm probably wrong. But it happens outside the pericardium. It's a second blockage which lasts for a few seconds. Obviously, it can't last longer, or it'll kill you. But there's no hormone markers because it didn't happen in the heart.
Okay. So it happened, but you weren't aware of it at the time, or?
Well, I was aware there was something wrong. The world slowed down. Cool. Breathing was like trying to pull in knives. Everything hurt, from the scalp to my toenails. Everything hurt. But the main thing I remember is I couldn't breathe. I had to force my lungs to work.
Gosh.
And it took me something like 20 minutes to walk the 200 yards to my car.
Oh, wow.
I sat there. I was something like 6 or 7 miles from home, not far.
So you were thinking of driving home, even though you had this?
But the only thoughts that went through my head is, I can't leave the car here. That will make it so awkward for Richard. So yes, I drove home.
You drove home? Wow.
I drove home. Bloody fool.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. I drove home. I walked into the house and I told the girls, I'm feeling a bit tired. It's been a long day. I'm going to go and lie down.
Gosh.
And I went upstairs and I texted Richard. I think you broke the sound barrier. Well, the just standard rules and regs of the road. I think you broke the sound barrier coming home. Yeah. He also phoned my oldest and said, get in that room, don't let her go to sleep, call an ambulance.
Oh, good for him.
So that's what they did. And I had a blood draw of something. I'm supposed to have exploded at this point, apparently. Whatever. It was something like 220 over 200 or 240 over 200. Oh my
goodness. Yeah. I wonder if everything hurt.
Explode, apparently, at that point.
Yeah. You made it tougher stuff, obviously.
Yeah. So anyway, I got cast off to hospital. Surprise. Being to hospital feet first under the resus sign is quite an experience. Blues and blues all the way. I was, it's on my own. Is it now off the bucket list? Why not?
Yeah, that's an extraordinary bucket list. I don't think most people would have it on there.
You don't want it. You don't want it. Anyway, they couldn't find anything wrong with me.
Interesting.
So I was apparently fine, apart from the blood pressure. And I was in hospital, I think, 8 hours, sitting around while they decided what to do with me, in whatever the current equivalent of the clinical indecision unit is. Sorry, that was a family joke. Very fast backtrack. My husband several years ago had a fit. We thought it might be epilepsy. It turns out it was a terrible fit and had them too. But when they took him into hospital, because they had no idea what was wrong, they put him in the ICU, which is the decisions unit, or whatever it's called, which we always called, no, whatever, but we clinical indecision unit, because it's basically where they dumped everyone they didn't know what to do with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they've got to have a space, so yeah.
They've got to have a space for the people.
Yeah.
What's wrong with them? Not a clue.
Second opinion over here, please.
Yes. Personnel specialist, somebody will work it out.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Well, they did that with me. Gave me some drugs to force the blood pressure down. Said, "Oh well, you must have hypertension then." Ha 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 ha. Go away.
Yeah.
So after a certain amount of argy-bargy, because that happened on the 21st of June, totally trashed my best friend's 50th wedding anniversary and their birthdays all on the same day. I wasn't popular. Quite. Did that.
Soon after that, they found out, presumably, that it was
end of July. I went to the Rapid Access Clinic 5 weeks later.
Right. So when they told you that you had this operation coming up, now for me, me in operations, I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's just, don't function, don't compute that information. I remember when I suffered years ago with thyroid problem, the doctor said, "Oh yes, we'll just whip it out." I'm like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Well, yes, we'll give you the op and you'll have it done." I said, "Well, what exactly does that involve?" He said, "Well, we'll cut around the thyroid and we'll get it sorted." I said, "Hang on, thyroid. So you're going to slit my throat?" And then I went, No. So having been on medication for like 3 years, my body went, don't have an operation. And I said, "Could we just come off of the medication and just see how we go?" And he's like, "Well, I don't see why you do that. Obviously, it's going to be a problem. You've had this for years. Let's do the job properly and get it done." I went, "Just bear with me." So he weaned me off, and I kept going back every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, and I never had a problem after that. And I think my body just went, "You're not having an operation." So the thought of a doctor saying to me, "Yes, we're going to do a triple bypass," I would just keel over. I don't know what went through your mind at that point when you're like, "I've got 2 young daughters, my husband needs my support, I've got a business, I'm the one bringing in the money." What was like, or did you just go, "Oh no, it's okay, that's fine, let's do that"?
At that point, Richard was employed as systems change manager for one of the bigger investment houses in the country. So I was not the main breadwinner. That was okay. Yes, I did have 2 young daughters. Pippa at that point was just finishing year 6, about to go into year 7. I think that's right. Something like that. But given that she's autistic, I was worried about her, yes.
You can't rock her boat, can you? That's the problem.
There were 2 particularly bad days which will live with me forever. One was the day on which they did the angiogram. I had 2 or 3 arterial spasms on the tape, which is how I learnt the hard way that unlike most adults in the Western population, I have narrow veins and arteries. They're only 2 millimetre clearance, not the more normal 3.
You're so awkward.
And I was shown a picture, all beating, lighting, thighs and everything. It's up on the screen where they're looking at it, and you can see it at the same time. Yes. So I didn't exactly need to be a doctor to work out that it wasn't supposed to look like that.
Yes, yeah.
I remember my biology. It's been a long time ago, but I do remember it. And even I could see that actually it's not meant to have that funny kink there. No, not. Is it meant to have that sort of funny bulge there? No. What's that? That's the other problem. Oh.
So do you think, looking at that, the physical reality of seeing it just gave you this kind of acceptance of this is something I've got to go through?
No, it was world ending. It was absolutely world ending. They trolleyed me back to the ward afterwards because you're given a mild sedative so that you don't panic on. I can see why. And I couldn't stop crying. They keep psychologists. This is London Bridge Hospital, fantastic place. They keep the psychologist on the ward. I'm sorry, I didn't realise my email was still open. I'm just going to close that so it doesn't beep at us again.
Thank you. That's all right.
And she must have sat with me for an hour or more, talking me down and pointing out that this wasn't world ending because, look, I was still here and able to make a choice. And my choice was do something about it or not. I actually had the choice to walk away, do nothing, and having so, I can guarantee I wouldn't be here today.
And did that cross your mind, to be that that coward that goes, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to run away? Was that something that you took seriously?
I think it takes a lot of guts to choose to die. That's a different story.
But you were aware that that was the choice?
Oh, I was very aware that was a choice. It's not the first time I've made that choice in my life either. I have cheated death more times than most cats.
Oh, wow. So was this the pinnacle? Was this the one that you think, here we go again?
This is one where it's, oh Christ, it really is that. Oh, well, the family will be well off. I'm very well insured.
Oh.
And that was the first thought that went across my mind. I'm insured, they'll be fine. The second one was, for Christ's sake, I'm 49.
I'm not finished with this life yet.
There's got to be more than work like bloody stink and stop.
In hindsight now, looking back at that, can you attribute maybe working too crazy has had a knock-on effect, or do you see them as totally separate incidences?
The stress of working too crazy was probably what most of the problems. And I've been, I won't say fighting a rearguard action because that would be stressful.
Yeah.
Meandering through a rearguard action. Taking life with a slightly larger dose of me rather than else needs.
Yeah. So you can empathise presumably with people today going through this horrendous upturning situation that we're all part of, because the fear is palpable, isn't it, of people that I don't want to catch it. I saw an interview with Linda Lusardi and her husband, how both of them had corona, both taken in an ambulance at the same time, leaving their son at home, saying all the insurance papers are in that cupboard, in that drawer, go and get everything that you need. And it's like, wow. So not knowing if they were actually going to come home again. And her husband was told in the hospital, in a separate ward, oh, we think your wife's, and the last knockings, by the way, and he had to fight them in order to get to see her. And this was before they even realised that it was a pandemic state. It was just after that it all kind of come out. So fortunately, there wasn't all this distancing, so he was able to be with her when she thought she was dying. And she'd been told, nothing we could do, hey ho. And he came down and told her off, basically, had to go and said, you're not going anywhere. We can't do without you, stop it. You stay right here with us. So from that point of view, she kind of found the fight to keep going. So I would imagine, having had the operation and come out the other end and been told, presumably it was a success, the operation went well, you've now got the recovery period that is going to take how long was it before you felt normal, whatever normal is?
Well, the operation was a success. The client nearly died. I got blood poisoning.
Oh dear. And do you blame that on the hospital, or is that just
I'm not on London Bridge, no. I'm not going to say who I blame for that because
you see somebody finger pointing and
there's no point in finger pointing. Done is done. It's water under the bridge.
Yeah, move on.
I hope that by now people have learned lessons.
Good.
Wow.
So that was the second.
For various reasons, I ended up back in hospital as an emergency with blood poisoning. An emergency secondary operation to debride all the wounds, which also went wrong, and I hemorrhaged. I woke up at 2 a.m, blood everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I had a lot of pints. Richard managed to get me to a hospital, and I had a rather cute-looking GP, well, presumably actually not a GP, but hospital doctor, leaning heavily on my chest, trying to compress this wound and stop me from dying. That was try 2 for that round.
Well, at least you had somebody that was attractive and not stinking of garlic. And
yes, absolutely. He was cute. He was very nice.
There's always a bright side. Sometimes you have to look really hard to find it. But
I have this bloke staring into your face for 15, 20 minutes. It helps that look nice.
Did you go back and say thank you?
I did.
Good. I thought you might.
And while that was going on, Richard managed to get hold of London Bridge Hospital, who put him in touch with my surgeon, who is based up, when he's not doing private work, is based at King's. So I did 3 hospitals in under 24 hours. Wow. So I've been in London Bridge in the morning. I was in Red Hill at 3 a.m. And by 11 a.m, I was at King's. And the following day, I was readmitted to London Bridge for a week of intravenous antibiotics.
Well, that's enough to make anybody look at their life in a different perspective, isn't it? I mean,
you cannot be the same person.
Exactly.
I defy anyone to be the same person after that.
Exactly. So what would you say is a good thing and a bad thing from that whole experience? What's something that you go, oh, because of that, I now do this, and because of, what's a good thing and a bad thing?
Good thing? Because of that experience, I completely pivoted the work I do. And I now give people back their dreams. I help them from that space of challenge to forge the paths they need to build the future they want.
I love that.
And a bad thing, it left me so scared of doing anything that I cowered in a corner for 6 months. I still get scared.
I can imagine. 100%. I can. I mean, I've not been in that position, thank you God, but having experienced nearest and dearest dying, sort of panic attacks around it, and I can just imagine a soupçon, teeny weeny bit of what you go through, and it's totally understandable that you've had a trauma, you've gone through, you've got post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever title you want to put on it, but that is going to be you have to understand your mind in order to understand how to, physician cure thyself, so to speak. You're the one that's going to... I got
depression because of it.
Of course, yeah.
I ended up in counselling in the works. Not unheard of, apparently. No. It's actually surprisingly common for people who have heart surgery to end up with, they call it anaesthetic depression.
Okay.
Anyone who's had major surgery has a risk of this, apparently. But I don't care what you call it. It's
horrible.
If you're terrified of dying and you're terrified of living, and you are trapped in the middle, it is quite literally living hell.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
So do you find that you've found strategies that work for you? Have you kind of got
working on it?
Well, good for you. That's a brilliant answer, because you know what, there are some people that I don't want people ever to listen to this podcast and go, oh well, they've got it made, it's all right for them. because actually
right. Oh, I wish.
Being vulnerable and admitting that, you know, it's still shit,
Oh,
you know,
God.
pardon my French,
There
but
are
that's not
days
French.
when all I do is cry.
Exactly. And but you understand the why and the how, and presumably you surround yourself with people that are that kind of uplifting, come on, together we'll do it, you know, you're not on your own, let's see how we can help and let's sort of move it forward. And I think
try to, and I've got some absolutely fantastic friends, you amongst them.
Bless you, thank you. And what you said earlier about the positive that's come out of it, that just makes my heart fill with joy, because you are automatically, the good that's come out of it is you giving. And it's you giving your gifts and your understanding to help people fulfill their dreams. And I think probably, you know, this is my sort of view on it from looking down from above, is that your near-death experience has helped you to look around at everybody else, and you can probably see these stunted people that are doing the same old. And because they haven't had a life or death experience, they're just going, oh, well, I'll do it when I retire. Oh, I'll do it next year. Oh, I'll do it if I get time. And you're going, no, I'll show you the journey. I'll show you the way you've got to go.
Do it now.
Exactly.
Nobody knows how long they've got.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, a child born today can be dead tomorrow, or might live to be 150. You don't know.
And it's a gift, isn't it? We've given this gift,
and
you're
here as long as you're here. Make the most of that time.
And that's what you're doing. That's what I love. So what I'd like to talk about now,
yeah.
Although bookkeeping is your thing, you know, we know you're awesome. So you've got this left brain, detail-driven numbers and all that kind of mathematics. You can see it in your DNA. You love all that kind of thing. But that's not your joy, is it? I mean, that's what you do and you're good at. Hurrah. But your joy is the business whisperer.
My joy is very much the business whisperer, yes.
And you are quite unique. I don't think there might be other business whisperers out there, but not doing it the way that you're doing it. So would you like to explain briefly, and I love this, how you come up with the your vision and your view of how people can move themselves forward?
I am what is known as a synesthete. Synesthesia is a condition. You're born with it, generally speaking. About 1 or 2% of the population have it, where the input of one sense goes to more than one sense. So I look out of the window and I see a picture, but I also hear what I see. And when I listen to a piece of music, I don't just hear music, I see the shapes and the patterns and the way they weave together. Now, it works particularly well with voices.
I'm just going to stop you there, right? Because when you first told me this, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I was like, what now? What? Come again? And it's literally, it took me not a long time, but I kind of had to get my head around it. But it's not it's kind of woo-woo meditation, let's kind of see the chakras and it's none of that, which is fine in itself. It is a literal thing. So that when you described listening to a bird in the garden with your daughter, you both described it as the beautiful colours that you could see because of the bird song. Yes. And it just touched my heart when you said that. I was, how incredible must that feel?
Sing, it's a glorious thing. It really is.
And how old were you when you first realised that you were different and not everybody could see a bird sing?
Okay, this is the interesting bit. I think I was probably in my 30s.
Oh, wow.
I'd always talked to my mum about the colour of the music, and she replied in kind.
Yeah.
It was perfectly normal for me. I didn't know something that other people couldn't do. But I was talking to Hazel about...
Your daughter.
That's my elder daughter. About some piece of music she was working on for Croydon Youth Strings, Croydon Youth Orchestra. And we were talking about the colour palette for this particular piece of music. And Richard turned around and said, "What the are you talking about?" And we sort of looked at him blankly and went, "Well, because when you play, well, that instrument has that colour palette, and this instrument has that colour palette, and when you do, and it's, no, they don't. It's noise. It's not colour, it's noise."
I can imagine that conversation. I'd love to be the fly on the wall.
There was a certain amount of rock meet hard place, have fun. Yeah, that was an interesting evening.
I'll bet. So when you come across people in the Business Whisperer, how does that translate into what you do for them?
I see their answers as much as I hear their answers to whatever question or whatever conversation is going on. Much as I can see the colours around you at the moment, which anyone who's watching this can't see. No. And I know that, and it's really frustrating.
So tell me what colours you can see, just out of curiosity. Just paint the picture. Everyone's going to go to YouTube now so they can see the videos.
Yeah,
apologies if you're listening to this on Spotify or something.
There's a mixture, a melange of pinks, teals. There's some orange in there. Small amount of red.
Wow, that's fantastic.
But these are colours that describe you.
So then you take that information when somebody's talking to you.
Information. Different people come across a different way. I describe Andrew as Glacier Blue Mountain, or Mountain Blue Glacier, more likely. Mountain Blue Glacier. That combination of words has meaning for me.
Right.
The thing about synesthesia is it is unique to the individual who has it.
Mm-hmm.
And only 1 or 2 in 100 have it. And there are about 7 or 8 different forms of it.
Oh gosh, that's a real science then, isn't it?
Finding 2 people who see the same thing at the same time is a bit like hen's teeth.
Okay. So Hazel wouldn't see the same colours in me that you'd. Okay.
She sees similar colours, but she wouldn't see them in the same way.
Would she interpret them in the same way?
No.
Okay. That's interesting.
So she would almost certainly see the pink and the teal.
Right.
But wouldn't necessarily exchange those 2 words for the concepts of integrity, heart, and intelligence that they mean to me.
So part of your translation of the colours is the knowledge of the person as well, and you kind of put the 2 together and go, oh, that fits because of that. So would you be this is a bit weird, it's a bit like a clairvoyant working for the police. Would you be able to interview a criminal and know if he was bullshitting you without any prior knowledge?
Yes. I'm not quite a walking truth machine. I can normally tell if somebody is lying to me because the colour's muddy.
Yeah. It just makes perfect sense. I can't believe we can't all do this. And what I'm curious about as well, and we were talking about this earlier, is whether I know it's natural for you and it's a given, but I wonder if it can be learned. I wonder if it's something.
I don't know.
It's like I can't play a musical instrument, but I know if I wanted to, I could learn one. And I know that some people are talented naturally and kind of pick up a guitar and 2 minutes later they're playing a little tune. And other people pick up a guitar and can't get left hand and right hand to do something different to make any decent notes out of it. So I don't know. Maybe it is it could be taught at some point. It's interesting, isn't it? But your other daughter hasn't got that talent at all, has she? Or has she? I don't know.
She does not admit to having it, which, given that 2 of the family do, I think she would if she had it. So I would suggest she doesn't.
Yeah.
But sometimes Pip can be a little slow in coming forward, shall we say. She's brilliant at what she does, but she is very, very logical. She's not got quite the even break between logic and creativity that I've got and that Hazel has. And it does seem to be something that tends on the creative side.
But you've got both sides of your brain, and whilst we know they are all connected, we do talk about individually, are you more a right brain person or a left brain person? And obviously there are the synapses that connect it all, but I think it is quite unusual for someone who's sort of so detail driven and clever at the math side of things to have this amazing gift at the far extreme of the other side. It's
well, I haven't looked at the stats to establish that.
That's a perfect answer.
Sorry, there goes the logical bit. I do know that in tests I come out almost even balance, logic and creative.
Imagine.
It really is sort of 52-48. It's a bit Brexit.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's...
So you can switch between the two then. So if you're working with a business, you can look at their numbers and know what's right and wrong. And then you can
off I go,
yeah, and do the other thing. So one of the things, to give a demonstration of this talent that you have, when we have Collaboration Global meetings, we quite often have what we call a collaboration circle, where somebody can come to the room and go, hey, this is my business, this is what I do, and I'm thinking of doing this. Can you advise me on how to do this collaboratively with the collaboration mindset? Or I've got stuck, I've got a problem, I've got an issue, blah, 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 what it is. And we have the conversation between him or her and somebody else that just kind of fills out what they're after. And then other people in the community come forward and kind of ask questions to just kind of, well, maybe it's this, and maybe we could help with that, and have you considered this, and what about that? And you're sitting very quietly at the back with a massive board with all your coloured pencils and all your felt tips and everything, and then at the end you come in and you just sum it up and you go, well, this is because of that, and that's because of that, and bang, 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 and they go, oh, and you can see the look on their face like, wow, she knows me. And you are quite adept at you kind of apologize and go, I'm really sorry, but you need to get off your and do something, don't you? And they're like, yeah.
Tone it down a little. And I did that for Andrew because I knew he could take it. Well, lad.
Yeah, he did leave
I may get forgiven one day, you never know.
Yeah. But it was just, I love that whole concept. There we go.
I don't know if you can... I've covered over the name, obviously.
Yeah, so that's one of your journeys.
That's a nice blurry picture, which is not going to tell anyone anything. But
you can see the colours beautifully, and it's like there's a magic carpet underneath. So it is quite a unique experience to work with you around business. So what's some of the outcomes that you've had where you've worked with somebody like this?
Some of the outcomes, client a little while ago, year or so ago back now, came to me in absolute tiswas, up to his neck in debt, didn't know which way to turn, needed to have X, Y pounds a month in order to service whatever. Woe is me. Mm-hmm. We had a conversation. We spent half a day, 2.5 hours, that's it, maybe 3. From that conversation, in the space of about a year, he turned everything around. He not only cleared the entirety of a high five-figure debt.
Wow.
He turned things around to the extent that he had a 5-figure savings. And he's taken it further since then. We've had more meetings since then. And one of his main comments is, I always come in thinking I'm going to control the conversation. I know where it's going to go. And it never does.
Yeah, interesting. And that is the art, isn't it? That is the art of being a business whisperer, is having that light touch of understanding where things are going, but not saying you need to do this, and this.
No, I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm not there to tell people what to do. I'm there to say, well, if that path isn't working for you, these are the other paths that will take you to the same destination. It's a very old saying, isn't it, that there's 1,000 paths up the mountain? Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm a pathfinder.
So how long did it take you? This came to you, the Business Whisperer, after your triple bypass. Is that the? And how it happened, or has it always been in the back of your mind?
It didn't spring fully formed, a la Athena. There was what you might call an awakening moment. That actually happened in hospital. Very, very peculiar 10 minutes, which left me very shaken, but convinced that there was something for me to work on and discover. It took me about 6 months to put it all together and work out what it was I wanted to try and achieve.
Yeah.
And I've been refining it pretty much ever since.
Yeah.
So we're what, 17? Yeah, we're 3 years in now. And it's now, it is definitely off the drawing board. It is a working concept, but it is also a concept in work.
Yeah, I think most businesses...
It always will be.
Yeah.
It has a fluidity about it.
It's like when people say they've done their website, and I'm like, you've never done it. It's ongoing, it's organic, isn't it? And it does keep moving forward. So as an individual, what would you say your genius is around what you're doing? Is it, do you acknowledge the synesthesia, or do you go, well, actually that's part of it and the other stuff is this and this and this?
In networking circles, I describe myself as a synesthetic planner or a synesthetic strategist.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
It's very much about the synesthesia. That is, it's so much part of this.
Yeah.
Because it's an extra skill, I suppose, ability, whatever word you want to use. There is no point in my trying to do something which doesn't bring all of me to the table in order to help all of you.
Exactly.
Because if I shortchange myself, how can I do anything except shortchange you? So that's not being honest.
So what would you say when you look at your life now after the heart attack incident and the other instances behind that, because we haven't even gone into all of those, and the life that you lead now, and how the Business Whisperer is growing and you know, organically morphing into the next phase, as most businesses do. You know, if you're not moving forward with your business, you're moving back. There's no standing still. So you're fortunately going forward. What would you say is in your life now is your biggest passion? What is there something that kind of gets you angry about life, or is there something that kind of gets you, you know, gets you out of bed in the morning? What's your purpose is what I'm trying to say. What's the thing that really drives you now?
I think the biggest thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is actually something I did a couple of years back with Andrew, and that's his core process. You'll understand that, you've done yours.
Indeed, yes.
And that told me what it is I do. And it makes such beautiful sense that how can I not do my best at that? It's a pair of words which aren't necessarily relevant to the listeners. It's a pair of words which I hang what I do upon. But it requires a journey in its own right. And at the moment, that journey is taking a lot of my time. So life has not been straightforward. Whose life is straightforward at the moment? Please show me, because I'd like to give them a good slap down the face. Just after all the heart problems, literally 3 days after I was signed off by the surgeon, my husband got made redundant. Richard is one heck of an optimist. He has never ever failed in his life, and everything has come to him very, very easily. And so he's always had the most incredibly light-hearted view.
Okay.
A good compliment for me, because I'm a first-class pessimist. And we make a damn good team.
Complimentary.
But while he won't acknowledge it, anyone who knows him would agree that he spent over a year in depression.
Mm.
Less than 24 hours notice from a very well-paid job to nothing. Literally, the email dropped into his inbox at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At 11 a.m. the following morning, he was escorted from the offices.
Oh, wow, that's harsh. Yeah.
And you can see the logic of it from the business point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But the cost in the personal was amazingly high.
Mm.
He does now run his own business. Although how much longer he will run his own business, I don't know.
Mm.
He's now over the age at which he can pull down his pension. And given that he was, over the years, fully employed in extremely good businesses who looked after their staff, he has an exceedingly good pension.
Lovely.
And so, technically speaking, I don't have to work.
That's a nice situation.
It's a lovely place to be, especially now.
But that doesn't.
Sufficient income. I don't have to work. Neither does he.
Yeah, but that doesn't fulfill your core process, does it?
Oh heavens, no.
Yeah.
But it does take the pressure off demanding money for it, much to the annoyance of somebody I could name. That's not the point. People should pay what it is worth to them, and it is worth a lot to some people.
Yes, indeed. That's another thing over Corona, isn't it? A lot of people have automatically gone, oh, well, because of Corona, there's not enough money going around, so I won't charge for my services. And yet you've maybe learned in 10, 20, 30 years how to create and build and support people for whatever reason, in whatever you're doing. So just because the world is in a pandemic state doesn't mean to say that you're still not valuable for what you're offering. So it is a really juxtaposition I find a lot of people in, because they feel guilty for charging. In fact, I'll tell you a conversation. Was it last week or the week before? I had one chap who was talking to me about his product, and we were looking at possibly partnering up. And he said, I've got 450,000 people in the States that I would love to share your product with, but you don't charge enough. I could only offer it to them if you quadrupled your prices, because what it is at the moment, they won't see it as valuable. They won't want to. If it's only that much, it's not valuable. And literally 2 days later, I was speaking to a very nice gentleman from Ireland, and we got on so well, and we had fun and we laughed. He said, how can I help you? What can I do? I want to share what you do with all the people that I know. So I told him how much it was. He went, oh, well, if you're going to charge for it, how can I possibly tell them about it? That's ridiculous. And he was gone. And I was like, but I feel like getting them to talk to each other, because it's like, well, you're saying I can't charge at all, and you're saying quadruple my prices. And this is all because of pandemic. It's just freaking people out. It's such a shame that, you have to have a bit of self-worth. You have to understand that if, for example, you earn an absolute fortune as a business whisperer, that does not mean to say that's all going to go in your back pocket. I can imagine Terry Piers, as the business whisperer, would have all this money and go, well, look at that charity I can help. Look at that person I can help. And you'd be giving out probably just as much as is coming in. But that's why when people say, oh, how much do you need to survive? You hear these business coaches, don't you? They go, how much do you need? How much money do you need? And people go around and go, oh, I'd like enough to pay my mortgage off. Enough so I could pay my mortgage and have a lovely holiday. Oh, and a nice car. And it's stuff. They come to me and they say, how much do you want? Well, technically, don't need anything. We've sorted ourselves out. We've been clever with our money. But actually, how much do I want? Billions, please. Absolutely billions, because I know what I'm going to do with it. I know how many people I'm put on this earth to help other people. So if I was to earn an absolute fortune, it would go straight back out to all the people that you can help.
Yeah.
So I think the pandemic has really freaked a lot of people out. So keep on charging for your business.
I have the same sort of money as Richard Branson. I'd be paying off people's student debts.
Well, you wouldn't be going to the government.
Anyone who needed it had enough money to get the education they were able to absorb. Yes. And that's a lot of education, because most people can learn a lot more than they think.
Well, isn't it interesting? I was talking to somebody the other day, and he was saying how our generation pretty much had it dropped in our laps. Education, free. come out, got your degree, you got a job, you know, and it was, I mean, get a good pension. Nowadays, the good old millennials are coming up to the stage where they're buying their properties, they're, you know, just about left home, they're thinking about starting a family. They had to pay for their education. They had to come out from the university, and they had to work for 6 months or a year as intern before they could even get an income, let alone anything else. They've had it tough. And I think, as you say, to be able to wipe out people's student loans, to be able to say education is free, would be the first things. And when I hear people say in the pandemic, oh yes, this particular mogul has given away £1 billion to the health service, you go, great, but he's still got 6 billion, so not enough.
Why? I mean, what's he going to spend it on? What good is it to you? You can't take it with you when you're dead.
Exactly. Now, I know obviously it's on paper and all the rest of it, but most people, you know, you could get by on £1 million. You don't need all the other stuff. So when the people go, oh wow, what a lovely man, he's donated £1 billion. What about the rest?
Well, yeah, so bloody well, sorry.
I'm reminded of Ricardo Semler. I've spoken about him many times. Brazilian entrepreneur who's got a TED talk. If you haven't seen him, go Ricardo Semler, go to TED.com. And he always says that when he talks to people and they sort of puff their chest out and he says, and they say to him, I'm going to start giving back. I've done well in my life. I've got a great business and I've got a fantastic house and I'm, you know, lovely family. I'm going to start giving back. And he turns around and says, if you're giving back, you took too much in the first place. And the whole philosophy is give as you go, give all the time. Just take what you need. We don't need that much. And that's what this pandemic has taught me, is that we really don't need that much. You know, you don't need to go out to dinner 2 or 3 times a week. All the lovely things that we managed to cook at home. You know, when I hear people like, you've got chickens, I'm like, oh, that's so lovely. It's a different way of being. And I think the whole thing in the pandemic has taught all of us to be more content with what we've got. I thought I'd wanted to be going out, and then I thought I'd be sort of struggling to be indoors. But I'm contenting myself, and that's a whole new thing for me. And I see, you know, you talk about you know, working in your garden and things, and it's like that is your joy, isn't it? And you craft, and looking behind you, there's all that knitting wool. you're an active. So again, this is not. I wouldn't necessarily think of somebody that is into books. Bookkeeping and all of those kind of left brain activities to be a creative, but you do pull the two things together, don't you?
My garden is my zen.
Yeah.
It's where I go to recharge, to rebalance. And I have, even with this glorious garden, I have gone somewhat stir crazy. Oh. I have been out for a few walks. But I do have to be a bit cautious, not because of myself, although apparently anyone with heart conditions is far more likely to get a really bad go, but because my eldest has autoimmune disorders. So we have to be really, really careful because she's got autoimmune disorders with heart problems.
Oh, bless her.
So she's shielded. Hasn't seen her boyfriend in 3.5 months. That's hard.
But
that's
you know, when I keep thinking back to the war days, though, you wouldn't have had Zoom to FaceTime. So, you know, it is hard for her, but she's in the modern world. They do
write good old-fashioned letters to each other.
Oh, how lovely! That's nice. I'll keep those forever.
Yes. So.
Brilliant. What else am I going to talk to you about apart from your diploma in knitting? And you're doing 5 other diplomas or something, you say? You keep yourself so busy.
I'm currently studying diplomas. I've got a diploma in knitting.
Right.
I've got, oh God, what are my qualifications? Endless bookkeeping qualifications. Just put them under a hat. There's a pile of them.
Done. Tick that.
Diploma in knitting. I'm studying for a diploma in Hygge studies.
What studies?
Hygge. It's a Danish concept.
Oh, right. That kind of Hygge. Yep. That's nice.
Diploma in philosophy. Diploma in psychology. That's keep ahead of the youngest. She starts at A-levels as and when schools ever restart. September, one assumes, hopefully, please. Because that child never moves from away from the computer, and I want some reason to be able to put her out the front door and get some exercise. I think she's allergic to sunshine. She looks like a vampire. She's totally white with dark hair.
She's a goth without meaning to be.
Absolutely. So yeah, but she's going to be doing psychology amongst other things. So I thought, better get ahead of the game here. At least I know the language.
Yes.
And if I've got some rough idea of the concept, then when she goes, then I can go, okay, I can talk you through the basics. And if I don't know enough, your godmother's got an MA in psychology, so we can cover that one.
Well, that's handy. That's handy. It's always good to have an auntie like that, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant. She's a fantastic auntie.
Lovely.
What are the other ones I'm doing? I've picked up 3 separate diplomas, which I think between them might actually add up to a single proper diploma.
Right.
Yeah, they're sort of minis on NLP.
Ah, right.
Because
that's a fascinating
everyone
topic,
keeps on spouting the language at me, and I wanted to know what you're talking about.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So it seems that you have this insatiable appetite for learning and creating and making the most of your life now, by the sounds of things. There's no wasting of time. It's not a minute to be wasted and not to be used.
Yes, I get told off for not taking time off.
Oh.
And not because I'm working, but because I'm always doing something, whether it's for me or for somebody else. But they now at least hold equal rate with me. So just because somebody wants to give me some paid work doesn't mean I will drop everything to do it. Yeah. And I am now learning the hard way, as all of us do, how to say no, but equally when to say yes. And that's a fascinating thing. Saying no to the client who you've had the initial conversation with, and you just know that they are going to be the client from hell. They're never going to give you the paperwork on time. And they're never going to be on the end of a phone when you've got to ask a question.
Your gut instinct is yelling at you, isn't it? To go, don't go there, don't go there.
I'm not going there. So I've learned how to say no to them, so they're never bored. And that's such a win.
So going back to the sort of original conversation around Collaboration Global when you first joined the merry crew, and obviously now we don't have the face-to-face meetings, which is so frustrating because it is a special.
Oh, it's very different.
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, we're trying to replicate it with the online meetings, and they are lovely, and we've got some amazing people and some amazing guests that have been joining us. But I remember probably one of the last meetings that we had before the lockdown. We were looking at sort of people's values in life and what happened. And I do remember you saying that if it hadn't been for Collaboration Global, you wouldn't be here today. And I thought that was such a statement. I mean, it's even saying it now, it's giving me kind of shivers thinking about it.
Also very true.
It was, what was it that kind of you attribute to that? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Let me just leave that. What do you attribute to that?
I said my first introduction to the outfit was before the heart problems. After the heart problems, when I was sort of coming out of the depression and so on, and I knew that there was something different I needed to do, I was starting to get the shape and the feel of it. I asked Andrew if I could visit again. And he very nearly said no, because he didn't think there was any point. I'd said it wasn't for me the first time, so why on earth did I want to visit again? Yeah. But, balance and whatever, and I came along. Helped that I knew where it was and when it was, and it didn't really matter if he said no, I could have turned up anyway. But I wouldn't have done that. And what I found in the room that time was that I could connect with the people who were there, which I couldn't have done before. I don't know what to put the finger on, but I think it's the fact that there is such a lack of judgment in the room. It didn't matter that I was a triple heart bypass survivor, that I was going to be 50, that I'm a 5'6", somewhat dumpy individual. I could have been blue with yellow polka spots.
Yeah.
I would have been welcomed in that room.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered. Even more that when I felt I had something to add to the conversation, that was also welcomed and taken for what it was, and not for, oh, she's doing her obligatory add something in and show off. It wasn't, and it wasn't taken that way. So it was the openness of the space.
It's interesting because we've had a few sessions where we've had to bring your kids to Be Cold Day.
Yes.
And it's a lovely environment, Be Cold being the precursor of Collaboration Global. And children look at life in a totally different way. And what I love about them is their natural curiosity, their openness, and their freeness with everything that's going on. And I remember there was an 18-year-old that said to us afterwards, I wish school was like this. And I was like, oh, why is that? He said, well, I felt like I could put my hand up and whatever I said, nobody would laugh at me. And if I asked a question, nobody would think I was, or would say, oh, that's stupid. That I would be able to be listened to, but I would be heard.
Yeah.
And I think that's, we usually start the meetings with, how are you listening? Are you listening from a place of topping the conversation? Are you listening from a place of, I know, don't you know that? Am I listening from a judgmental place, as you just said, or am I listening from a place of, how can I take something from this and learn for my own benefit? And you can hear the same thing occasionally, again and again, but the stance where you are, you hear it in a different way. And an old friend of mine many years ago said, sometimes your situation doesn't change at all, and you feel like it's the end of the world. And then the next day, you see it in a different light. Nothing's changed, but the way you look at it has changed. And then you can cope and you can carry on, and it's not the end of the world. So I think that, it's really hard to kind of bag up what Collaboration Global is and put it in a box.
There is a way of doing that. And it goes to those February meeting, half-term meetings when the kids are allowed in.
Yeah.
And Pip, who's my youngest, and the younger son of one of the other members, Elliot, were chatting to each other at the dinner table afterwards because we all stopped for pizza.
Lovely.
And I wasn't actually within ear range. They chose my daughter, being my daughter, I didn't want to be anywhere near Mum. Thank you very much. Going to be down the other end of the table with her new friend. But a couple of the members were close enough to earwig the conversations they were having. Now, bear in mind, these are two school children. At that point, I think something like year 7 and year 9, maybe year 6 and year 9.
I think Elliot was about 8 or 9, age 8 or 9.
No, it's the second time.
The second time, okay.
So he was, I don't know if
10.
he was year 6 or year 7.
Probably
I think
year 6.
Might have been year 6.
Yeah.
And Pippa was around about year 9. They were talking, amongst other things. Bear in mind their ages here. Equality in the classroom and what they should do about it. It's not so much the equality bit as what they should do about it. They accepted the fact that it was up to them to do something about it. How many kids of that age accept responsibility for anything?
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
She won't tidy her room, but she'll go out and fight for the right for other people to have their say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
And that was the beauty, that they were given an opportunity to lead the meeting.
Yes,
and they
do fantastically. Brilliant kid.
Incredible, just incredible. And I'll remember that to my dying day. You know, we've done it about, I think, 3 or 4 times now, and they always rise to the occasion, and the adults have to rise to their occasion to meet them, and we all learn so much from each other. But
you can learn so much from your children.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's good to know,
because that's totally changed.
It's good to know that that just being a member of Collaboration Global has made such an impact on you, because I know that you being a member of Collaboration Global has made a huge impact on so many, many people. You know, whether it be you doodling, that's the wrong way to put it, but whether it's
I think that's a good description.
Is it? Okay. Your beautiful maps of your taking what's going on in here and putting it into colour for us, and then explaining it, because we look at it, it means nothing to us. But once you explain it, it's like, oh, I get it. I see where you're coming from. Actually, that's really astute. That's really clever. So all of these wonderful gifts that you have, that you bring to the table in our meetings, I really want to say thank you publicly for all of the times that you've been able to give us those insights from this amazing gift that you had that I didn't even know existed before you came to our community. And you kind of epitomise this, well, I'm just a normal person kind of thing, human being, I'm just a human being, but you have hidden depths. And you have hidden depths that you have taken your passion, you have taken your genius, and you've supported others in the community in order to bond, in order to build rapport, in order to support and to help. And let me tell you now, you've made a massive difference. It's been absolutely wonderful having you part of this community. Thank you so much for your time today. I have loved this conversation, and hopefully people will want to be getting in touch with you to find out if you can be a business whisperer for them. So what's the easiest way for them to get hold of you?
The easiest way for them to get hold of me is to go to the website. You'll find all my contact details are on there, and it gives you a little bit of an idea about what I feel I do. And the website is businesswhisperer.co.uk.
Simple.
Very simple.
Remember. And if you want to give Terry a little Google, it's Terry Peers, TerryPeers, and she's all over the place. You'll find her. And maybe one day you'll be lucky enough to go into her little office in the shed and see the chickens up there. Not far away.
Comfortable chair, you see.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Well, stay safe, my darling, in this lockdown situation, and hope your daughter and your family, well, both your daughters and your husband, stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you online at a Collaboration Global meeting soon. We're going to be changing the dates of those, so we'll send out some more details near the time. But if anybody's interested in listening to this and wants to come on a meeting that Terry will be sitting in on as well, then just go along to collaborationglobal.org for the website, and you'll find all the meeting details there. Thanks very much for your time, Terry, and I'll see you another day. Take care.
See you another day.
Bye.